Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. No one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors, no one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the Cage Nation, good news, it's fight week. Drew, we got one heck of a card we're going to break down here tonight.
That's right, Pinnacle FC. This will be our first time at Pinnacle, and I am so looking forward to this. Checking out the action. The Pittsburgh fight scene has been unbelievable, and we get to check out Pinnacle. This is going to be, it's just going to be a great night of fights. We've got the lineup here, we've got the card, and we're going to run it down for you.
Absolutely. So this is the Pittsburgh Challenge Series 6. Pinnacle FC. It's going to be the, I believe it's the Icoplex, and we're going to have all that information down here, and we're going to get it all available to you guys. But tonight on Cage Nation TV, today, depending on when you're watching it, we're going to talk about some incredible amateur bouts, including title fights.
Yep.
We're going to talk about a stellar pro card, including title fights, and then we're going to get into the main event between Mark Cherico and Brady Hovermail.
Hey, we met Mark Cherico.
We did meet Mark Cherico.
Get to talk to the guy.
Okay, and we're going to talk about Cherico versus Hovermail, and we're going to give our thoughts on the card. So all that and more right here on Cage Nation TV, the special countdown to Pittsburgh Challenge Series 6. Don't go nowhere.
That's my line.
Don't worry about remote signal blockage again. Introducing the Top Mount. This low-profile shelf is perfect for placing your cable box where you can use it. The easy-to-install lightweight shelf is designed to fit behind almost any flat screen TV, with or without a wall mount. The Top Mount is perfect for easy access to cable boxes, game consoles, and DVD players. Don't have your signal blocked again. Order your Top Mount today at thetopmount.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cage Nation TV. Of course, I'm your elected official, Albert Cameron. Beside me, as always, the Prime Minister of Seoul, Drew Shannon.
What's up?
All right, Drew. So, truth be told, I sat down and I looked at this card, getting ready, and normally I would travel that far for like one or two fights that I really, really want to see. This one's got like 4 or 5, and the other guys that are on the card that I don't recognize. It's not saying they're bad fighters. I just don't recognize them right away.
You're gonna know them by the time the weekend's over.
Absolutely. So, of course, we need to put out the disclaimer. We're going to be talking about fights we know, fighters we're familiar with. We're not leaving anyone out because we think they're not quality talent. We're just not familiar with them yet. But you know what? We will be by the time Sunday morning rolls around. We and you will know exactly what's going on with Pinnacle FC.
Sunday morning? Heck, Saturday night, as soon as the fights are done.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be talking about it on our recap episode, too. So look for that next week.
All right, Drew.
We ready?
Let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. The amateur bouts.
Yes.
Always looking forward to the amateur bouts just because these are the guys that are the up-and-comers. These are the future of the sport, and this is no exception. We've got Jonathan Kaufman taking on Alex Homan, and I believe you were just going to say something. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say that in Pennsylvania we do two things very, very well. Our amateurs are absolutely incredible, and our women's MMA is just tops. I mean, that's just, whenever MMA has a lot more history behind it and a lot more legacy, I really believe that Pennsylvania is going to be known as having great amateurs and great women's MMA.
There you go.
Okay, so we got Kaufman versus Homan.
All right, Kaufman versus Homan. Kaufman, of course, a Pittsburgh area native.
I think he's from the Greensburg area.
Or a veteran, excuse me.
He's definitely a veteran of the area.
Yeah.
And you and I actually called a Kaufman fight before.
We did.
Yeah, called a Kaufman fight when he fought McAleer.
And that was a WCC 6?
That was a WCC 6. John and Dan Kaufman both fought on the card. We qualified for both of those. I think what impressed me the most about John Kaufman was his absolute ability to endure. I mean, if I've never made anything a secret, is I've never tried to hide the fact that I'm a big fan of Paul McAleer.
Right.
I think he's got talent. I think he's got charisma. I mean, he's got everything that an up-and-coming superstar in MMA has. What John Kaufman did was, John Kaufman got in the cage and was like, I don't care. I'm going to get in there with you and I'm going to bang.
Right.
And he did. John Kaufman's got a great Taekwondo pedigree. I think him and Dan both. There was a point in that fight where John Kaufman had Paul McAleer in a calf slicer so deep that it's taken him almost 9 months to recover from.
Right, I remember that.
Kaufman and McAleer fought in June. McAleer was supposed to fight in November. McAleer was still unable to fight because that calf slicer was that deep.
Right.
Kaufman did some long-lasting damage in that fight. It was absolutely incredible. I mean, that fight went to a decision, and I wouldn't have been surprised either way. That fight was that close. So, I mean, that's what really impressed me with the Kaufman brothers right off the top. John Kaufman was a warrior. He went in there and he dug. That's what he did. So we actually talked to Alex Homan's trainer out of the Brute Gym.
Yes.
And they're completely confident going in that fight. And that's what makes a great fight, Drew. Whenever you got a guy who's clearly displayed his talent. I haven't seen Alex Homan fight yet. Alec Homan. Haven't seen him fight yet, but whenever his head trainer's like, hey, you know what, he's ready to go, those are two very, very dangerous mindsets, and that is the makings of a great fight.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Homan's only other fight was against Jamie Fleck, and what Homan's got, he's got a gas tank and stopping power. That's what makes for a great fighter, too. So right off the top, we got all the makings of a great fight. We've got a guy who's proven himself against a pretty big... I think McAleer's a big name. I mean, he's a big name for our spot. Everyone in Altoona is familiar with PMAC. Kaufman went in there and banged. Clearly has some dangerous strikes and a good submission game, too. I mean, to put a calf slicer on McAleer that bad, that McAleer is still not fought 9 months after, really kind of says something. But Homan, he's ready. He's been training strikes. He's been training the ground. The guys at the Brute Gym, they're ready to go. They're getting Alex Homan sharp.
You were going to say the Brute Squad.
I was going to say the Brute Squad.
I am the Brute Squad. Yeah, a little Princess Bride for you.
Yeah.
You've watched it. You know you have. Who are you going to... are you going to pick? Like, who do you think's going to win?
Honestly, Drew, I don't think we can. I mean, we could try.
Too close to call.
There's too many ifs.
Okay.
Too many variables in amateur fights when guys don't have as many proven fights as whatever. I mean, we could watch UFC and be like, okay, Anderson Silva fought X, Y, and Z times. He's finished X, Y, and Z.
Right.
We could probably make a good prediction. The great thing is about amateurs, and especially in Pennsylvania, is we just don't know. And that's what makes these fights edge-of-the-seat kind of fights. We don't know what John Kaufman's going to pull off. We don't know what Al Coleman's going to pull off. I mean, that is the reason why great amateur fights happen in Pennsylvania.
Fantastic. All right, let's take a look at our next bout. Davy Crockett versus Darnell Pettis. I'm not.
I'm stopping you right now.
What?
I'm stopping you right now.
You're afraid I'm going to make up a song like I did last time?
I am terrified you're going to make up a song like you did last time.
I'm not going to.
Okay. Davy Crockett is another fighter we called fights for. We called fights for Davy Crockett at Complete Devastation and again at WCC. I think one of the fights that impressed me most with Davy Crockett is we've seen him fight Shane Valco. I mean, Shane pick up his opponent and slam him back down to Mother Earth Valco. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't a complete blowout. So, I mean, Davy Crockett clearly had some chops in there with Valco and Hang. And Valco is a very powerful guy, but so is Davy Crockett. And then the last fight that we called for Davy Crockett was when he fought Jimmy Serra. And I like Jimmy Serra. I think he's an absolute ground wizard. I just think he has a lot of opportunities to improve on his feet. That's Jimmy Serra's opportunity in life. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. I'm not saying he's a bad person. But there was a point where Jimmy Serra's fighting Davy Crockett, and Jimmy Serra was not as adept as what Davy Crockett was on the ground, and Serra actually resulted to pushing him in the chest. Jimmy Serra's fight game kind of frustrated me on that front. Now, when Jimmy Serra and Davy Crockett hit the ground, completely different fight. Jimmy Serra, he was pushing the pace, he was pushing the action, but I think what needs to be said about Davy Crockett is Davy Crockett had the mindset to, this is where the kid's strong, this is where I'm stronger, and he completely pushed the pace of that fight, and I thought it was absolutely excellent.
The best thing about Davy Crockett? Killed him a bar when he was only 3.
This is why I can't take you places in public, because you do this kind of stuff.
What?
This is why you do that kind of stuff.
I'm sorry.
So Crockett, of course, this is going to be a title fight. Crockett versus Pettis is going to be a title fight. Crockett's going in the champion. Pettis is coming in the challenger. Okay. Crockett, of course, has a win over John Kaufman. We just talked about in depth. So Crockett's got some good wins, not only in our area, but Pittsburgh as well. Now, Pettis...
what do we know about Pettis?
Pettis is coming off of back-to-back TKOs, one of which was awarded because his opponent couldn't answer the bell coming into the round.
Oh.
Yeah, now that says something. That Pettis beat the man so bad that he's in the corner and he can't answer the bell. That is just saying like what a devastating finish he has. So clearly he can pull off TKOs, beat a man to the point where he's not coming out of the corner. We just talked about that Davy Crockett is able to meet big challenges like that.
Exactly.
I think we got another recipe for a winner.
I can't wait.
Now, don't ask me to pick because it's not going to happen, Drew.
I'm not going to ask you to pick. We've already gone through that.
Thank you.
I'm not going to sing a song either, much as I want to.
Why do you got to lie to the Cage Nation?
Davy, Davy Crockett taking on Darnell Pettis.
Exhibit A, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Drew. So that takes us to our...
I'm the comic relief of the show. I don't do much else. That's going to take us to our next bout.
The amateur main event.
The amateur main event, and someone we know very well, Rich Catalina.
The man's a dual title holder.
Yep.
He's got multiple gold. I think the most important for this event is he's the Pinnacle FC Amateur Featherweight Champion.
And he's taking on Rel Hodge.
Rel Hodge. Okay, so give you a little history on where this fight came from. After November, Ethan Goss was awarded the title fight against Catalina, which was practically a super fight in Pittsburgh.
Right.
I mean, as big as a fight's going to get. I mean, Ethan Goss had just had a fantastic fight in Altoona. Rich Catalina was coming off of the victory over Zach Schultz, where he won the amateur featherweight title for another organization. So the guys at Pinnacle FC is like, you know what? We got something here. These featherweights is probably the biggest division in amateurs in Pennsylvania. So Pinnacle FC is thinking, okay, we got two really big heavyweights that are on a meteoric rise. We need to get these guys going head to head right now.
Okay.
So that's when Ethan Goss and Rich Catalina, they fought in Pinnacle FC. I believe it was the Pittsburgh Challenge Series 5. Rich Catalina won probably, and I could be wrong on this, but I think it was one of the hardest won decisions he's ever got. His nose, Goss broke his nose. He was having a hard time breathing.
You all right?
I'm getting really, really jazzed about this fight.
I can tell.
So Goss breaks his nose. He's having a hard time breathing. I mean, I think up until 2 weeks ago, we weren't sure if Catalina was going to be able to fight.
Right.
Because his nose is broken that bad. So then Goss goes to fight Rel Hodge. Rel Hodge, again, no slouch. I mean, I've seen him fight Tyler Saltzman on occasion. I mean, Hodge is a really, really prestigious name over in Ohio, fighting out of the NAAFS promotions. So Hodge gets the victory over Goss. So now what makes sense? I mean, we've got two guys who have beaten a really tough guy.
Right.
Now it's time to get them together. So Rel Hodge, I think it was before going into the fight with Goss and Hodge, Catalina said, whoever wins that fight is going to get the rematch against me at Pinnacle. Hodge won that fight, so now the guys at Pinnacle clearly are giving the fans what they want. We got Catalina, we got Hodge. 2 weeks ago, and I got to tell you, Rich Catalina is a great guy.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the guy, and I'm looking forward to meeting Rel Hodge. But Catalina gets cleared 2 weeks ago. He's holding up his medical clearance, and like Rich Catalina does, he lets Rel Hodge know that he's got a fight on his hands.
Now,
yeah.
Rich Catalina, if I recall correctly, challenged someone that we also know, correct?
He challenged Lenny Carlheim.
And is that fight going to take place anytime soon, or what have you heard any updates on that?
I think right now, with the way the featherweight title scene is in Pittsburgh, I think there's a little bit of a pecking order before that can happen.
Right.
So, I mean, Hodge has certainly earned his title shot. Catalina certainly has to answer that challenge, and then from there, there's guys right behind Hodge who are lining up for a title fight if Catalina wins. And if Hodge wins, I mean, that changes the title scene entirely. Hodge could have contenders who are coming for him. Both men are coming off hard-fought wins over Ethan Goss, of course, we just touched on.
Right.
This is a fight that it's for Catalina's championship, and I think this is one of those fights I could talk about for hours, Drew. I mean, Rel Hodge, clearly a stud.
YouTube only allows us so much time.
Exactly. So we're going to move on from that one. But as far as amateur main events go, I think this one is going to be one that's going to be knocked completely out of the park because both guys can strike. Both guys have ground chops. And title fights are always fun to watch. I mean,
right.
you think in the history of combat sports, which are the fights you always look back on the most?
The title fights.
The title fight.
Because there's something on the line. There's something to prove.
There's a lot more than honor and pride. I mean, everyone I've ever seen fight in Pennsylvania has always come into the cage to fight with honor and pride.
Right.
Well, now we got gold. You know,
right.
now
you add a title on the line. It adds that extra something special.
Prestige.
Exactly.
It's prestige. So that's a couple select fights that are coming out of our amateur bouts that I'm really, really excited about. I think the other guys are going to impress me in spades.
Sure.
So when we come back from break, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into the pro bouts. Of course, we're also going to talk about the main event, Mark Cherico versus Brady Habermail. And that's going to be a fight that I'm going to enjoy talking about as well. So we'll be right back on Cage Nation TV.
Don't you... he already said it.
Hello, MMA fans. Look, people, MMA fans. And we're wrestling guys on an MMA show. Holy moly. What's this world coming to? We want to take this time and thank Drew Shannon and Albert Cameron.
We do?
Yeah. All right, for allowing us a little bit of their time here on Cage Nation Television to promote the Pro Wrestling Rundown. Do I have to do all the talking here?
Come on, guys, show us a little bit of love. We're showing you some love. We know that they're a crossover fan, so catch us on our YouTube channel. What is it again, X?
YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Rundown.
Hope to see you there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cage Nation TV. Of course, Drew, when it comes down to fights, the fights that I think are nearest and dearest to our hearts are the 5-minute rounds, no shin guards,
right?
Heavy-handed professional bouts, and I think Pinnacle FC's got really, really onto something, especially the fights that I'm really looking forward to. So, what's our first pro fight?
All right, the first pro fight, we're looking at Chris Dunn versus Francis Healy. Francis Healy, that name sounds very familiar.
Yes, we watched him fight. He beat Jeff Smith the last time we saw him fight, and I mean, it was like one of those rapid-fire machine gun arm bars. And Jeff Smith, I've seen him take a beating, and I've also seen him dish out a beating. But it was one of those fights where, did Healy even break a sweat? I mean, the fight was over that quickly, and it was that slick of an arm bar. Right. Healy, of course, I think believe he trains out of the Mat Factory, if I'm not mistaken. Or it could be the Pittsburgh Fight Club.
I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
There's your answer, ladies and gentlemen.
Right there, we know. We're just not going to say. We'll let the screen do the talking.
So Dunn is coming off of like a flat fight winning streak, and he hasn't fought slouches. I mean, it's been hard fought.
Right.
Those wins are decisive stoppages. So decisions, while they're kind of the answer to fight, I don't like. Don't say I don't like decisions, but they're not as satisfying as what a stoppage is.
Of course.
It's not as satisfying as what a knockout is, what a submission is. And the great thing about Chris Dunn is his 5 fights have been all decisive stoppages. So the man's winning streak has really, really made a statement. And that's one of those things that, you really, really get jazzed about. Especially I get jazzed about because, I mean, I'm all about facts and figures and numbers and and fight stats. Absolutely love fight stats. I think they really, really paint a picture.
You do a good job at fight stats, too.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No problem. I was going to compliment you on that the last time I saw fight stats on Facebook about a recent fight.
Yeah.
Well done.
There's a lot that numbers tell.
Right.
Especially about a fight. So, I mean, to have 5 decisions, I mean, okay, were they split decisions? How close was the fight? 5 stoppages says that Chris Dunn was completely in charge of the fight and was in charge of his own destiny when it came to how those fights ended. And that's a little bit of drama that comes into the fight. Dunn has a notable fight. I don't think it went his way, but Chris Dunn has fought Mark Jericho. Jericho, of course, in the main event. I mean, he's practically the king of Pinnacle FC.
Right.
Mark Jericho has earned his spot. We're going to get into that in the main event. But Chris Dunn earned that shot against Mark Jericho. So, I mean, the guy's clearly got a forward momentum. And even more so now that he's got those five stoppages right behind him. Healy himself has gone against some big names, including Mark Jericho. Again, all roads are leading to Jericho when it comes to Pinnacle FC, and for very, very good reason.
Right.
I mean, the man is a truck. He's also fought Tyler Saltzman, which, I mean, we've seen the Daywalker do his thing in person.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and then he's fought Kama Worthy. We're going to talk a little bit more about Kama Worthy in the main event. So the Pittsburgh fight scene is growing. I mean, the nucleus of the Pittsburgh fight scene is absolutely growing to encompass more Pennsylvania. But I mean, in the nucleus of the Pittsburgh fight scene, there are guys that you hold your head a little higher whenever you fight these guys. Mark Jericho, Kama Worthy, Francis Healy are certainly in those. And I think that's what's going to make these guys have earned their shot.
Right.
And that's why this fight is where it is.
And yes, that takes us to our next bout. As we were speaking of Kama Worthy before, Kama Worthy is taking on Jacob Butler. With a name like Kama Worthy, that is an ass-kicking machine right there.
Well, you know what that actually reminds me of the old WWE F wrestler, Kama Mustafa, the fighting machine.
Yes.
He Papa Shango. We're getting off track on that one.
We're going on a pro wrestling. Bring it back to MMA.
Okay.
We did pro wrestling is X and Edwards deal.
Okay, so we talk about those guys who are in the Pittsburgh nucleus.
Right.
And Kama Worthy has got some big wins, of course, over Francis Healy. We just talked about Francis, who pulled off that slick armbar over Steve Jones. He's also fought Reginald Merriweather and Jason the Whip Willett. I mean, those are 3 names that you kind of pat yourself on the back after you've secured a victory.
Oh, exactly.
So then we're the where he has stopping power and a gas tank, and I've touched on that before, why that makes for a really good fighter. That means he's ready to end the fight. He's ready to get the W no matter which way it's coming to him. To be able to stop a fight, to end it, but then to also have the gas tank that if the fight has to go to a decision, he looks like the fresher man.
He can go the distance.
That he's endured.
Right.
And that's a very important skill. And a lot of guys don't have that. I've seen a lot of fights where we know that, okay, for this fighter to win, we know that he has to stop it here because his conditioning's been a little bit suspect past that. Common Worthy, I don't think is the case whatsoever with that. So Butler has fought on some bigger stages. Of course, I'm thinking the XFC out of Florida, who, in the grand scheme of regional national MMA, I think they're number 3 in the United States, right behind Bellator and the Ultimate Fighting Championship, of course.
Nice.
Win or lose, Butler has yet to go to the 3rd round. Ever.
Could it go to a 3rd round this time?
Perhaps, I mean, stranger things have happened, right?
Right.
We've seen fights that were like, oh, this guy's never fought past the 1st, he finishes the fight in the 3rd.
Right.
You know, that's just one of those statistics I'm a very, very, very big fan of.
We've seen boxers win with submission holds. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Anything can happen in MMA.
Absolutely. So Jacob Butler hasn't gone to the 3rd round. I mean, I'm not sure if he knows what the 3rd round looks like, but hey, you know, he Common Worthy could very well take him there.
Sure.
Because he does have that gas tank and the ability to win. Win or lose. When Butler wins, it's always by stoppage.
Okay.
So no decisions. We talked about, you know, win or lose. The stoppage is the satisfying finish. The knockout, the submission. Butler's never left it in the judges' hands. I mean, if he has won or if he's lost, the judges have never had a say in that. And I love when guys are master their own destiny like that. I mean, if you're going to go in and throw, you go in and throw. You know,
Sure.
That's just my opinion of it. No, I know a lot of guys who are really, really good at endurance fighting. I mean, Chris Dempsey, I think, is an example of a guy who is satisfied killing you with 1,000 cuts. He has no problem wearing you down. You know, that's just the kind of style. I mean, fighters are really, really good at doing that endurance fighting, and they make it look really, really well. And then some fighters just make a really big day out of knocking someone out or submitting them. And that's what I love about MMA the most, is that you don't know that the fight could go any way, and I'm always surprised.
Right.
I'm always surprised by the way a fight ends, that people are inventing submission holds every day, that they're finding new ways to knock guys out, finding new ways to drop them on their skulls.
Yeah.
And that's what's exciting to watch to me. And
Right.
to see it live in Pittsburgh, which is only 3 hours away for us. I mean, 3 hours for a fight? Absolutely. And they're great up-and-comers that we know we're going to see on a bigger stage soon.
The one thing that's for sure about an MMA bout is that nothing's for sure.
I think that is
And that's the cool thing about it.
I think that's a very fair assessment. I know a lot of guys who do not like mixed martial arts. They just don't. And you know
Right.
what? We love them for who they are. But I've also seen guys go with us to events who were kind of on the fence about MMA, and now they won't miss an opportunity to go.
Right.
You know, and that's one of those things that's kind of satisfying to me to be like, you know what? They see where I'm coming from.
Sure.
If it took going to a live event, I mean, the first live MMA event that I ever saw absolutely blew my mind. I was also perched on top of a tree stand with a camera in my hand, ready to die.
Right.
But I mean, to be there live in action, I think really, really says something. I mean, we can watch pay-per-views on TV all day long, but to be actually being there, the crowd certainly contributes an energy, and these guys are fighting their hearts out. I mean, those are just a couple, many reasons why to be live, to be at Pinnacle FC on March 29th is such a big deal, that you just get in there and you contribute because you're going to get it back in spades.
I actually can't watch pay-per-views all day long because I have a job.
I collect MMA like it's nobody's business. I've showed you my tape library.
Right over there.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking hundreds of videos.
Believe me, if I had a day off though, I'd be watching pay-per-view all day long.
I mean, that's what I do.
I
on
got
my,
nothing else to.
That's what I do on my days off. Like, I put in fights and I watch them. My favorite fights to watch on a day off are local fighters, especially when they're fights that we've called.
There you go.
There's just a lot of memory to that.
All right,
So, Drew,
let's get to the main event, my friend.
the spectacle, the fight that we all came to see, the fight that we're all interested in. We're talking Mark Cherico versus Brady Havermel. We got a chance to talk to Mark Cherico. He's ready. He's calm. And here's the thing I really, really like about Mark Cherico.
Okay.
To run into Mark Cherico on the street, you wouldn't know that he's a dangerous human being. Very soft-spoken, really nice guy, ready to sit there and talk to you. I mean, to talk to Mark Cherico, the guy we talked to, you'd have no idea that he chokes people out for a living. You know, that he does that professionally. You'd have no idea.
Sure.
And those are the kind of fighters that, you know, that you really, really enjoy watching. Now, admittedly, I've never seen Brady Havermel fight.
Okay.
But being a stats kind of guy,
You got some info on the guy.
the numbers just talk to me, Drew.
Homie's done his homework.
Homie has done his homework. So, in this episode, I've said that Mark Jericho is the king of Pinnacle FC. I think for very, very good reason.
Well, the guy's yet to be defeated.
Absolutely. Period. I'm talking amateur career, pro career. I mean, he's 5-0 as a pro.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the word period.
Yeah.
Period!
Period.
It's on the script.
He's 5-0.
Right there.
You done?
Yep.
Okay. 5-0 as a pro. I think 14 fights total. And he, I don't know if it's intentional, but Mark Jericho's a submission specialist. Out of 14 fights, 12 of them have been stopped by submission. The other 2 have been TKO KO. He's never lost. He's never left it in the judge's hands. So that is one of those things that's dramatic things. So, Mark Jericho's putting on a great reputation in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting that on the line. He's also putting his undefeated record on the line. So now, while Brady Havermill's not undefeated, what Brady Havermill's got is he's got the pro experience, like, in spades. He's just got it. So he's bringing a lot more experience in the cage than I think Mark Jericho is. But Mark Jericho's also, he's sharpened himself against some pretty top-name iron. When we talked to Mark Jericho, he said he's been training out of American Top Team in Coconut Creek, Florida. American Top Team is one of those powerhouse gyms in mixed martial arts. I mean,
Right.
I would rank American Top Team right up there with Team Alpha Male out of Fresno, California. I would put them up there against the Militich Fighting Systems back in the day. Certainly against Jackson's MMA. Brazilian Top Team, Shootbox. American Top Team is one of those teams that just produces top-tier talent consistently. Mm-hmm. And Mark Jericho's been down there taking what he does very, very well and making it better. And that's what Mark Jericho's investing in this main event. And I think that's really, really exciting. So, Brady Havermill, of course. The numbers don't lie. I mean, you put that much of yourself into mixed martial arts, taking all the fights you can get.
Right.
Sharpening yourself. So, Mark Jericho's undefeated. Brady Havermill has got more experience. And when you do anything, you do it over and over and over again. I mean, you're clearly getting yourself not only to a mindset of excellence, but you're preparing your body for it.
Right.
Your body's just really, really preparing for that excellence, for that title fight. So, I think when it comes down to a main event, I think Brady Havermill is going to bring something to Mark Jericho that Mark maybe has not seen before. But I don't know if Brady Havermill is prepared for the absolute monsoon of just excellence that Mark Jericho has displayed in the cage before.
When you do something over and over and over again, you know you're doing something right.
Right.
And consistency is key.
Right.
So.
And records speak. I mean, Brady Havermill's got a great record. A fantastic record. So does Mark. So we got 2 great records meeting each other. It's just one of those main events that we could speculate on forever and ever. But my prediction for this main event is no matter who wins, no matter who loses.
Wait, you're going to lay down a prediction?
Yes. No matter who wins, no matter who loses, I know that we're going to be talking about that main event. But did you see that? I can't wait to show that recap.
Oh, okay. That's how he gets it.
Oh, do you think I'm going to pick a winner? Do I look silly to you?
Yeah, you do, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. So my thoughts on the...
offense.
No, not taken.
Okay.
Jerk. My thoughts on the fight. I think Pinnacle FC assembled a card full of a lot of heavy-handed guys. How many times didn't we say throughout this episode, they've never let this fight go to a decision. They've got stopping power. They've got a gas tank. We're able to spread those and I want to say those observations around a lot.
Right.
The guys haven't let these fights go to the judges.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're quality title fights. I mean, Catalina, that fight makes sense to be on the Pinnacle fight, the Pittsburgh Challenge Series 6 card.
Right.
Because, I mean, all those reds have led too. A lot of other, the other title fights are just absolutely excellent. So, Pinnacle FC did a great job with that one. And I think what needs to be said is throughout the month of March, we've seen firsthand the Pittsburgh fight scene is changing a lot.
Oh my God, yeah.
Even since, I would say, last year at this time, the Pittsburgh fight scene has just evolved and really enriched. And I mean, we as MMA fans and we as fans of MMA fighters, and we're not barbarians. I mean, we clearly enjoy like a good fight sport.
Right.
We enjoy guys who aren't fighting for the sake of beating each other up. They're fighting for the sake of competing, and that's really, really important.
Exactly.
We as MMA fans, we're not a fan of seeing people get hurt. We're a fan of seeing people compete and compete excellently. And that is what made the Pittsburgh fight scene absolutely great.
We're fans of also, seeing beefs quashed, grudges settled, and 2 guys going in there. Nothing saw. I'm trying to think of how it was put to me. You know what? I'm not even going to bother trying the quote because I'm going to mess it up because it was an excellent quote and I want to do justice to it. But the Pittsburgh scene is growing
Absolutely.
by leaps and bounds, and I cannot wait to be a part of Pinnacle FC.
Well, yeah, oh,
This
absolutely.
is going to be an excellent night of fights.
Pinnacle, I mean, Pinnacle has a great reach. You think about in the last year, I mean, the different areas that Pinnacle's touched.
Right.
Pinnacle certainly came to Altoona in a hard way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about Ethan Goss, we're talking about Richie Catalina. You know, they've certainly had their fingers in that.
Sure.
They've also crossed state borders, and I mean, they've tapped a lot of guys who have fought in Ohio. Ethan Goss has fought in Ohio, Rel Hodge, Mike Putnam, who's on the card. You know, Mark Cherico's been out in Ohio. So, I mean, the scene is expanding. I mean, we're really taking it by storm. There's been a lot of growth in the last year. If you guys want to know why that I think a lot of that growth has been going on, you need to have your butt in the seats at the Pinnacle FC, and we're going to tell you guys where to get your tickets and everything. Actually, go to pinnaclefightingchampionships.com, get your tickets, be there firsthand, and you guys are going to see what I'm talking about. These fights are excellent. The guys come in great shape. They come ready to throw. They come ready to stop fights. And, I mean, it's very entertaining, and I wouldn't say it's entertaining for the sake of being entertaining. Like, we rarely see guys just going in and they're throwing flashy taekwondo kicks for the sake because he's bored. It's coincidentally entertaining, and I mean for all the right reasons. Pinnacle FC has put together a great fight card, and I'm excited to be there.
March 29th. Do not miss it. You will regret it for God knows how long.
Till Pittsburgh Challenge Series 7, easily.
Exactly. Make sure you get your tickets now and join us for Pinnacle FC.
The Pittsburgh Challenge Series 6.
Pittsburgh Challenge Series 6.
That's almost a tongue twister.
That is.
Okay.
That's why I was going to let you say it.
So for our new friends who are watching us on Cage Nation TV, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we got a couple of new fans over the past week or two.
Absolutely.
So
Make sure
thank
you like us
guys.
on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. That's a great. We're going to be tweeting results for FC's Pittsburgh Challenge Series 6 all night. Subscribe to YouTube because we're doing all the hard work and bringing the videos to you.
Now, I'll be there. You'll be there.
Yes.
Mike Kessler will be there once again.
Yes.
And Rob Lynn, I believe, will be there as well.
I believe so.
And
We're coming down to Pittsburgh again with the crew in tow.
and we'll have video footage from the fights, I believe.
Hopefully.
And some pretty damn good pictures because Rob Lynn, fantastic pictures of the last event.
Oh,
And-
if you haven't seen Rob Lynn's photographs, you need to go to roblyn.org.
Yeah.
And check that out. I mean, the guy's clearly got an eye. He's got a talent for great photography.
And of course, all four of us in the wrap-up episode, which will be appearing next week from Pittsburgh, from Pinnacle FC. All four of us will have insight into what we have just seen.
And we mesh very well whenever the four of us get together. I think we do.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so.
All right, what are you going to do? All right, so ladies and gentlemen...
I think we're gonna have two microphones this time because last time my arm was killing me.
Get a Y splitter. Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, we're excited to be at Pinnacle FC. We're excited to get down there and talk to you about it. And I think more than anything, we'd like to thank Pinnacle FC for allowing us to
Exactly.
be a part of their event, for allowing us to be there. I mean, in the grand scheme of mixed martial arts in the state of Pennsylvania, I'm just a guy with a camera. And it's a big honor to be allowed to be a part of those events, to be granted the access that we are to report on what I enjoy and love very, very thoroughly.
I'm just some goofball who does funny voices on a microphone for a living, so, for me to be able to go anywhere is, outside of my comfort zone is an extreme privilege, and it's a lot of fun, too.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the Cage Nation, I'm your elected official, Albert Cameron. Beside me, as always, the Prime Minister of Soul, Mr. Drew Shannon. This has been Cage Nation TV. We're excited to see you at Pinnacle FC, the Pittsburgh Challenge Series 6.
We'll catch you next time when we do the recap episode from Pinnacle FC. Take care. Have a great week.
Let's go.